And to a coverage of the coronavirus pandemic, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has reported 230 new cases of COVID-19, taking the country's total number of cases to 251,571. Lagos recorded the highest number of new cases with 115 new infections, followed by Gombe with 29 cases, while the Federal Capital Territory recorded 24 new cases. So far, 225,280 people have been discharged, while 3,117 people have died from COVID-19 related complications. The head of the World Health Organization has issued a warning to world leaders that the coronavirus pandemic is, quote, nowhere near over. Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus cautioned against the assumption that the newly dominant Omicron variant is significantly milder and has eliminated the threat posed by the virus. Speaking during a news conference at the WHO's headquarters in Geneva, Dr. Tedros told reporters that the Omicron variant has led to 18 million new infections across the world over the past week. He said that while the variant may prove to be less severe and on average, the narrative that it is a mild disease is misleading. The WHO also warned that Omicron's increased transmissibility is likely to drive a rise in hospitalizations and deaths, especially in nations where fewer people are vaccinated. And for more on this, General Practitioner Dr. Essian Okorobi joins me from the UK. Good to have you join us, Dr. Okorobi.
Thank you very much.
So let's start by getting your thought on the statement from the WHO, that because one of the things that people have said, or most health practitioners have said about the Omicron variant, is the fact that it is slightly milder. And I guess that this is interpreted as less severe, or that it really doesn't have, everything is fine. I think that's how we interpret it, that everything is fine. But the WHO now seem to be saying, well, that's misleading. So talk to us about this.
Well, we've heard from the WHO DG himself that we are nowhere near the end of this pandemic. And in the last week, we've seen a huge number, 18 million persons test positive. And across Europe, over 5 million people, have tested positive in the last week. The Omicron variant seems to cause milder forms of illnesses. However, it's important to know that that variant spreads really quickly and rapidly, and can also pose a threat to the lives of people. In the UK, in the last 24 hours, we've recorded over 300 deaths, and the predominant variant in the UK is the Omicron variant. So people are still, succumbing to the Omicron variant. Another issue with the Omicron variant is because it spreads really quickly, some people would end up in hospital, and that is driving the hospitalization rate high up in most countries, and that can cause quite a pressure on the health system, and that in itself would make people needing more urgent and acute treatments not get enough care because they are overwhelmed in hospitals. And so, of course, this in itself can drive death rates high. I mean, it's important to apply wisdom and know that, yes, the Omicron variant is a milder form of coronavirus variant. It causes milder forms of diseases, but it's a variant and a virus to still be very cautious about.
And there is also growing confidence in the health sector. I mean, we've heard from doctors around the world who say the pandemic is likely to become endemic, which means that we're nearing the end of this pandemic. Are there indications to prove the validity of this statement?
I mean, we've been on the pandemic now for a couple of years, and it is true that in countries, and including the United Kingdom, we heard the health secretary say today that we are learning to live with the coronavirus just as we've learned to live with the flu virus. So yes, in some way, we are getting to that point, especially with the large number of vaccinations happening across the world, where we get to a level where we are now living with the virus, where the virus becomes more endemic. as it were, and of course, year on year, we would then be vaccinated against the virus. So I think gradually, with the herd immunity being established across our population, with the increase in vaccination, I think in the nearest future, we might see a case where we move slightly away from the virus being a pandemic to something more endemic.
Some countries are in the 5th wave, some are in the 3rd wave. I would have loved to ask you if, whether everyone is going to get to that endemic phase at the same time, but I'm told my time is up. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Korebi. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you very much.